hopefully you can still participate. This is not, because I'm recording, this is not a free-for-all to just kind of mess around. You still need to participate. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do. So this is how we're going to be running labs. So this is going to be a kind of nice little preview into what labs are essentially going to look like. We have a pretty simple one today. All I need to do is be making some observations and inferences about what's going on in the system. A couple things. There's a couple ways I want you to turn this in. Either I want it to be in this format. Okay. So either that means you are taking notes on a separate sheet of paper and typing things in later, typing in as we go. That's fine. Or you printed this out and you're writing inside these boxes here. Okay? I don't want to just have a notebook sheet of paper turned in. I would like it to be in this format. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Some head nods or a yes in the chat, one of those things. Okay. Another thing I am going to ask, if your Wi-Fi is crappy right now, then that's okay. Do what Drew is doing, and that's interacting through the chat, or you're going to be unmuting yourself a lot. But there's only 6 of you in this group, so there's going to be a lot of interaction. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself a lot. I'm going to ask you to do that and respond. So that's it. Also, another thing, my camera is here, so I'm going to try really hard to look at you, but your faces are all right here, and I want to be able to see your faces. So we're going to get a lot of this today. And my camera work is not the greatest, but I'm doing what I can. Okay, are there any questions before we get started? No? Okay, wonderful. So hopefully you have this or a sheet of notebook paper out in front of you. Whatever I write down, you should probably be writing down too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to think, what is an observation and what is an inference? Okay, 30 seconds, go. What is an observation? Okay, go ahead and just wrap up those final thoughts. And then anyone who wants to answer, we'll start with this one. What is an observation? I will call on you if no one answers. So either way you have to talk, just either on your terms or my terms.
Something that you see happen during a lab or something?
Yeah, something that you see happen. Okay, how else can we make observations?
Could it be any of the 5 senses, like touch or smell?
Yeah, it is exactly based on the 5 senses. So an observation, when we're seeing something, smelling something, hearing something, we're taking measurements. We're constantly taking in information and making a measurement. So an observation is a measurement based on your 5 senses. There we go. Okay, so we have seeing as one of them. What's another one?
Smell.
Smell. Martin, what's another one?
Hearing.
Hearing. Drew said touch. Robbie, what's our last one?
What can I think of this?
See with your eyes, smell with your nose, hear with your ears.
I don't know. See, smell, hearing, touch. Yeah, taste.
Taste. Thanks, Robbie. Okay, so let's talk about what we can and cannot do in chemistry. I'm gonna move this down just a little bit so you can see my face. Okay, so things that you can and cannot do in chemistry. Seeing, absolutely, you're gonna use that a lot. Smelling, we can absolutely smell things in chemistry. How should we do it though? Yeah, you should be wafting. Proper science lab procedure. That's the word I'm looking for. You should be wafting. Do not just stick your face right into the beaker and sniff. I might do that today just because I know what's being produced. I know what's happening. But no, most of the time I will waft. You will always waft. Okay, hearing. Yes, definitely that's going to happen too. Touching. We don't want to stick our finger in the beaker and just be like, oh, that's pretty hot, or oh, that's burning, or I don't have a finger anymore. That's an interesting observation. Now, we want to avoid that. However, you can feel the outside of containers and say, oh, this is a lot warmer to the touch, or oh, this is a lot colder to the touch. Okay, so we can use touch, just we have to be very careful with it. And the last one, taste. Do you think we can taste things in the lab? Definitely not. There's maybe only one instance where I will allow that. And that's way, way, way down the road. If you come back into the class. So what you can do virtually is you can see things and you can hear things. If you want to be able to smell or touch things, you have to kind of go through me. I'm going to be your nose. I'm going to be your hands. If you can say, Miss Marshall, can you feel if that's warm or cold? Absolutely, I can do that. I won't do it unless you ask me to. This is one of the only times where, hey, Miss Marshall, can you smell that is an appropriate question to ask me. Okay, and I'll be like, yeah, sure. Or no, that's a little dangerous if I do that. Okay, so let's talk about an inference. We have an observation. It's based on our 5 senses. What's an inference? A guess based on observations and evidence. Yes, so I'm gonna change the wording just a little bit. We're not gonna say a guess. We're not gonna say educated guess. We're gonna say a prediction. Or a conclusion. Maybe you just came to a conclusion of something. And Drew was about half right based on evidence, right? And our evidence in this case is our observations, right? So any measurements that we take, whether they're qualitative, so the color is red, or they're quantitative. There's 40 milliliters. Quantitative has numbers, qualitative does not. So it's based on evidence and it's based on something else. What do you think that something else is? Let me rephrase that. So if I was making observations, yes, true. Okay. Now what does reasoning mean? What does reasoning mean? So in here, I can make as many observations as I want. This is a clear liquid inside this cup. But what if I want to make an inference? What am I going to do, or what am I going to use to kind of make a prediction of what's in here? Common sense. What's another word for common sense? Anybody. Drew does not have to be the only one that answers here. Logical thinking, yeah. So Drew was right when it says reasoning. When we say common sense, logical thinking, we develop a common sense as we grow and as we evolve. And that's based on prior knowledge. Okay, so yes, common sense tells me there is not acid in that cup, right? My prior knowledge is I was the one that filled that cup up with water. And so I know that there's water in that cup, right? Based on my previous knowledge. Sometimes our previous knowledge is not enough and we have to do some research as well. Now, what I'm getting at here is that Sometimes your prior knowledge introduces bias into your observations and into your inferences, and we have to be aware of our prior knowledge. If you had me for general science, you saw me take a bite out of a candle or what you thought was a candle. And I'm known to deceive and decept and say, hey, this is this thing. You trust me, and then it's not that thing. And you kind of have to be aware of that previous knowledge, that prior knowledge, especially in chemistry, because you might think you know what's happening, but in reality, that's not what's happening. So you got to be careful of that, really, which is why we're doing this activity today. So what you're going to do is I'm going to have two things. We're going to make observations before. You're going to fill this part out. We are going to fill this part out, and then we'll talk about some inferences. Then I'm going to mix them together, and then we're going to fill this out, and then hopefully we'll be able to see it after, and we'll fill that out as well. Okay? So starting here, you're going to be making some observations on these two things. Nope, flat, straight. There we go. So I have my beaker here. And I'm going to fill it with kind of this stuff right here. Okay. I'm going to do 3 scoops. The 3 scoop part isn't really important. It's just so I don't waste materials. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then you're also going to be making observations on whatever is in this thing back here. Well, let's see if I can get that to focus. There we go. Okay, so take about 30 seconds. Try and write down as many observations as you can make. Try and be as detailed as possible. I will be calling on everybody for this. I can move it around if you want me to. You can kind of see what it looks like. Move this around if you want me to. All you have to do is ask. I'm not going to do it and just say, hey, I want you to make observations when I do this. It's up to you. Okay. Go ahead and wrap up those final thoughts. Okay, can I take these away? Remove these? Big nods so I can see you. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about what you saw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and kind of in the order that I see you on my Google Meet, and you're just going to give me one observation that you made, okay? And we are going to start with Drew. Give me one observation. Unmute yourself if you can. Really small particles. Okay, where? Particles are really small. Be specific. In the flask? Okay. The flask meaning this thing? This is an Erlenmeyer flask. This is a beaker. No, the beaker. Okay. Small. Grace, you're next.
I said it was like a powdery white substance, and then...
Wait. Just give me one.
Okay.
Martin, you're next.
I guess that it was water or some sort of rubbing alcohol in the flask.
Okay. Olivia.
I noticed that in the flask, the liquid didn't have any like bubbles, and it wasn't carbonated.
Wasn't carbonated. Interesting. Robbie.
Yeah, I just said white grains in the beaker.
Nice. Sebastian.
I said that I think the things in the flask, no, not the flask, but the beaker was sugar.
Okay. Do we want to add anything else? No one wanted me to smell either one of them, feel them. We're happy with just looking at it. Okay, it's fine with me. So you have already made a couple inferences, and that is okay. So let's figure out what these inferences are. Get a highlighter. Okay. So remember, inferences are using our previous knowledge to kind of make a prediction on what we think this white solid is and what we think this clear liquid is. Okay. Grace, can you tell me one of the inferences that we have in here?
That it was sugar.
That it's sugar. Yeah. So we're going to put that over into our inferences section. Oh, and I'm not even writing formulas. Whoops. We always need to write formulas. Okay. Martin, tell me another one. Another inference that we have here.
That there's water in the flask.
Yeah. Water or rubbing alcohol in the flask. Oops. Is there anything else in here? Would it be salt in the beaker? That is another inference. You're right. Salt, which is NaCl. What else do we think this could be? So we think it's sugar. It could be salt. What else do we think it is? Anybody?
Maybe
soda?
baking soda.
Oh, yeah, baking soda. Vinegar in the flask. Okay. Na2CO3. CH3COOH. Acetic acid is vinegar. Could be water, could be rubbing alcohol, which is also called isopropyl alcohol in the flask. Any other guesses on what's either in the flask or what's in the beaker? Say no or unmute yourself. I love silence. Brings me joy. No? Okay. Let's see what happens during it. So we're gonna mix those two together. I'm gonna do a couple of things, and you're gonna make as many observations as you possibly can. Okay. Put that down there. Put that. Focus. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna take this little pipette here, this plastic pipette, and I'm going to drop this clear liquid into this white substance. If you could just see it. No, see, I need you to focus on that. There we go. Cool. Okay, are we ready? 3, 2, 1, science. What? Okay, a lot happened there. I'm going to do it again. Ooh, writing our observations down. What is happening? Okay. Lots of different things. I am going to try and light it on fire because, you know, that's what I do. Okay, so I'm going to put the clear liquid in here again. I'm going to put my hand over it for reasons. And then I'm going to try and light it on fire and see what happens. Okay? Okay. We're following along. That a little. That. Kind of cover that just for a little bit. Okay. Here we go. Oh, interesting. Was that meant to happen? Write down your observations. Keep doing it. We want to see. Anyone want me to feel it, smell it? I can't taste it. Kind of dangerous.
Can you feel it?
Sure. It is warm to the touch. It is very warm. Let's see how close we can get here. Oh, wow. Watch what happens. This camera's awesome. Interesting. Anything else that you need me to do to make your observations list a little longer?
Smell it, maybe.
Sure. I can smell it. The best way that I can describe this is kind of smells like burning rubber. Yeah, that's the best thing I got for you. Smells like burning rubber. I mean, really, if you've ever been, and you might not have, if you've ever been in a factory that makes wiring harnesses, so if you take applied math, that's kind of what you get to do, is go take a tour of a factory. It kind of smells like that. We'll just stick to burning rubber. I hope that works for you, Grace. Okay. Anything else that you want me to do? I can't taste it.
Can you like stir it a little bit, like with the jar?
Like stir it like I have, like this?
Yeah, like just move the jar around.
Sure. Okay. There's that. See if we can get a better view. I can also take this thingy, which is a little spatula, and I can kind of like get some of this stuff so you can see what that is. Oops. I didn't mean to drop it on the table. You see that? A little grainy. I'm digging this camera. Ooh. Of course, the camera doesn't focus when I put the dot on it. Do that again. That's cool. Gently, gently, gently. Careful. Got this. I got this. Yes, half of your labs are me just kind of like, oh, I wonder if this will work. Interesting. Okay. Miss Holmes, this camera is amazing, by the way. She just walked in. This camera is amazing.
What camera?
The dot cam.
Yeah, they're pretty high quality, huh?
They're awesome. Okay, you should be making observations. I'm going to ask for your opinions in just a second. Olivia's in this bathroom. They're all just like staring at. Oh, it's Robbie. Yeah. Robbie and Drew and Grace and Martin.
Olivia's just literally staring at me. There we go. Hi.
Ah.
Okay. What are we doing?
I accidentally spilled some of this on the table, and so we zoomed in really, really close, and I did the reaction.
Oh, cool.
Like it's like you can get super detailed stuff out of this, which is awesome.
I kind of want to take your chemistry class.
You should. Our chemistry class is so much fun.
I hated my high school chemistry class. Like, that's probably because I had a long-term sub who was a PE teacher.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so enough fun with the camera. See, even Miss Holmes wants to take my chemistry class. Look at that. Okay, let's zoom way, way, way out. Okay, we have a ton of observations that we could have made there. So let's start with Drew again. And I want you to give me one of those observations, please.
There's some particles sitting at the bottom of the beaker.
Okay, you like the word particles. What other word can we use?
Well, I don't know what it is. What do you call it? A substance?
Yeah, like a
Of some
substance.
sort?
What state of matter do you think the substance is in on the bottom?
Solid?
A solid, yeah. So let's say there's a solid substance left over. And Drew, the only reason I say that is because when we talk about chemistry more, when we say particles, we're going to be talking about like really, really, really tiny, like microscopic, can't see with the naked eye. Okay, Grace, give me another one.
It bubbled.
It bubbled, yeah. Martin.
It was warm to the touch.
Warm to the touch, good. Olivia.
The mixture made the fire go out when you added when you put the stick into the beaker, it made the fire go out.
Yeah. So I'm going to say the product, right? So what happened once we mixed them? Product put the fire out. Good. Good. That's an important observation. Robbie, give me another one.
Smelled like burning rubber.
Smelled like burning rubber. Sebastian, you're next.
It made like a foam thing on contact.
Yeah, made of foam. Good. Drew, we're back to you. Give me another one.
There was some sort of like fog or smoke or steam coming out of it.
Oh, all those words mean completely different things, so I'm going to write them all down. Fog, smoke, steam. Produced.
Well, that's why I said that, because I don't know what it is. It's one of those, possibly.
Well, okay, so what do all three of these things have in common? What phase are all of these things in?
Gas.
A gas, right? So we can say that there was a gas produced.
I'm guessing it's more of a steam because it was hot.
Steam because it was hot? Okay, well, it was hot enough for me to put my hand on it for a long time. But we can do that. So we're...
Yeah, but that was kind of like after you put stuff in it. So I don't know how hot it is when it's actually going.
Here, let's test it. If it's too hot, I'll let go of it.
All right, you proved me wrong.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's my job. So I mean, let's talk about it. Fog and steam. What are those made out of, really? Like, what's the chemical formula? It doesn't have to be Drew. Anybody? Fog and steam.
Isn't it like water molecules in the air?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like coming
absolutely.
up from it or whatever?
Absolutely. Okay, so smoke is kind of like a product of fire. Okay, so we know for sure that a gas was produced. Even if we didn't see it in the beaker, how would we know that there was a gas being produced? What's
Because your flame went out?
the flame went out. What else?
Some of the white substance dissolved.
Right? Some of the white substance dissolved. Anything else? No, okay. I think we have a pretty good list here. Let's talk about, we get out in 2 minutes. Okay. So some of the inferences that we might have made, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I think the only thing that we actually made here was that, which is pretty good. I think that's really good. So let's talk about real quick, what do we think this reaction was? Anyone have any ideas? Maybe you've seen it before. You can say it. If you're thinking it, just put it out there.
Is it like baking soda and rubbing alcohol?
Baking soda and rubbing alcohol? Maybe. Any other guesses?
Maybe baking soda and vinegar.
Okay, baking soda and vinegar. Anything else? Those are our 2 guesses. Okay, so in this 1 minute left, I'm going to say we're not going to do that part. I'm going to include a picture of this beaker so you can kind of do, so you can make your observations and you can make some inferences. And when I say inferences, I want to know things like, what is the liquid? Like, what do you think the liquid is made of? What is the solid? Things like that. And also on here, when I include the scan, I'm going to include what the actual chemical formula was for that reaction. Okay? This is due, all filled out, ready to go in a week. So that would be September 24th is when your lab is due. It is different from the other classes because they have labs on different days than you. So don't ask someone who's not in your group, hey, when's our lab due? It's also in your Google Calendar for this class. Any questions? Wonderful. It's been awesome doing science with you today. Make good choices. Have a good day.